And welcome. Lovely to see those of you who are joining on the Zoom, and welcome to those watching the YouTube live stream or recording, wherever you are, however you are in this moment. You're very welcome with whatever is here right now. And in case you don't know, I'm doing this pretty much every Wednesday, half an hour. And anytime you join, you can use the same link to join on Zoom. And although I don't have actual question and answers in this, you can, when you join and register, you can put in a question or a theme that you'd like me to speak about, and I can see how I can weave it into what I speak about. And yeah, because we don't have much, well, any interaction really in this satsang, I like to just get a sense of who is here and how you are in this moment by just, perhaps you can just type one or two words or even a sentence if you feel like into the chat. You don't have to, but just to get a sense of what's happening right now for each one of us. Yeah, just one or two words. If you feel like. No one's doing that yet, but I see, Nicole, you've written Robert's music is beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, that's the good guitar playing at the beginning. And someone's written, Kati says, nice to be with you. And Nicole, peaceful. Christina, lovely evening. Margot, relaxing with my newborn. Annette, I'm grateful to be here. Thank you. You can also write something negative or so-called negative if you want. It doesn't all have to be sweet and beautiful, but it is, of course, lovely to hear that those beautiful feelings as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, you can, if you feel like at any moment to put in something in the chat, you're also very welcome. But let's start by just tuning in with how we feel right now. So you can just close your eyes gently. Take a few deep breaths. Just settling onto this seat, wherever you're sitting, feeling a sense of gravity pulling you down into this seat, into the ground, into the earth. And in this moment, we give ourselves a full break from whatever you've been experiencing during your day today. Let's just put it all on the side so that we can just be present right now. And if you feel at the end of this time together to pick it up again, you're very welcome. But you may not feel like it, of course. So bringing all of our attention here now. To whatever is happening in your direct experience. How is this body feeling right now? Taking a few moments to just feel and sense what is here now. Nothing to do. Just notice whatever is here. And if there are thoughts, we just notice them too. And if the mind wanders at any moment, we just gently bring the attention back to this sensation, or this breath, or this sound. There's no right or wrong. Just noticing what is here. And as we simply notice whatever is here, even thoughts, emotions, sensations, or whatever it is, we may realize that the one that is noticing is not the story of me. It is not some kind of separate entity or personality that is noticing it all. This noticing is not even a doing. It's happening by itself. In fact, it is your nature as awareness, stillness, silence, to simply notice whatever is arising in who you are. And whatever is arising in your experience is an expression of awareness, stillness, who you are, just the way it is. this sensation, this emotion, even this thought is life itself dancing as this particular specific expression, just the way it is. Nothing needs to be any different. Nothing is missing. Nothing is wrong. Even if thoughts say, I don't like this, I don't want this, or this shouldn't be how it is, those thoughts are welcome to say whatever they do. And yet still, this expression of life goes on expressing itself in this particular flavor. And acknowledging that you are this noticing, this awareness of it all. There can be a sense of peace with that, relaxing back into what is always here. Absolute ease. Watching the show of this life unfolding as it is. So then we can just gently bring our attention back to the screen. So I just say a few words. So what's happening for me personally lately is that I've been spending a lot of time in the hospital visiting my mum, who has been recently diagnosed with quite a serious illness. And this, of course, is very confronting, shocking, brings up all kinds of feelings. And it confronts me with the reality of life, that we are all just passing through. And we live our lives with ups and downs, ins and outs, challenging times or smooth and beautiful times. But the time is slipping through our fingers. And this might sound very depressing, but it's also about a reality check in a way. that we tend to want to just push aside and ignore. We want to just pretend as if we can perhaps even live forever, or that we'll feel good forever. And sometimes it can feel like that. But I find that actually it's not a depressing reality when we meet it face to face and we are willing to feel whatever feelings might come up, even if there's fear or grief, just meeting it. And at the same time, knowing that there is, in fact, no time, that there is timeless life happening by itself, for itself. And it's all happening presently, unfolding perfectly, whether our minds like it or not. And so confronting this reality actually is very freeing. It's very heart-opening. It melts all the boundaries of separation as we meet beyond time, beyond space, beyond boundaries, knowing ourselves to be all that is, timeless being, always opening and opening to myself. Mm. And I noticed that someone asked me to speak a little bit about unworthiness. So I'm just going to kind of switch switch subjects. Although, of course, it's always the same subject, really. Yeah, unworthiness. It's such a familiar story, isn't it? I think we all know this one in one way or another. And it's so painful. And once again, if we are willing to feel it beyond the story of it, right? So the story is endless, right? We tend to go round and round in circles, telling ourselves these stories of how unworthy we are or how we don't deserve this or that, blaming ourselves, keeping ourselves small. But if we are willing, and it takes some courage to step out of the story and bring our attention to the sensations. And it doesn't mean that we push away the story or that we make it wrong. We just shift the attention. So the story is going on, telling the same thing. And when we remember, if we can, it's not always possible, we bring our attention to the body. How am I feeling as I tell this story? Oh, it hurts. Feeling the pain in the chest or in the belly. Perhaps it's really, really painful, like a punch in the gut. Perhaps it's so painful that it's almost unbearable, which is why we go back to the thought story to avoid feeling the absolute agony of that sensation. We rather tell that story and keep feeding that story and just being with the sensation. But you may notice that as long as you are telling that story again and again and overlooking the present sensation, you're just simply feeding it, and there seems to be no way out. I mean, you can change the thought story to a different story temporarily. It doesn't necessarily work for very long before the same old story comes back again. But that doesn't ever really get to the root of it. So, coming to the sensation, although it's uncomfortable or even really painful, we're meeting it face to face. And we're no longer feeding it. So we're no longer adding more fuel to this story. And as we meet the sensation as it is presently, we are giving it actually what it is asking for: attention, love. And we're not doing that in order to make it go away. We're not doing that for any reason. We're only doing that because this is what's here. So we may as well meet it. We're going to have to meet it at some point, one way or another. So we may as well meet it now. There's no time like the present. And you may discover that it's not as bad as you fear. And maybe when you meet it, the thought story comes back in again, and you go off into the thought story again. And you may have to again and again bring your attention to what is presently happening in the sensations. And each time you do that, you're reminding yourself that actually the reality is in what is present, not in the thought story that talks about a me that is unworthy for whatever reason. That is not the truth. That is a story that you're just telling yourself, a dream. The reality is this sensation, this experience now. It's very simple. It may not be always so easy to bring the attention out of the thoughts. It does seem to take courage because we're so used to spinning with these thoughts. They're so familiar. And this story of unworthiness can seem like as if that's the real me. Right? That's my true identity. You may even cover it over with some other story pretending to be really fine. And that's perhaps what you show the world because you don't want anyone to see that how you truly feel about yourself is that you're so absolutely unworthy. So we have these layers of stories that we tell ourselves, and it seems sometimes that this deeper story is the one that we hold to be the real me. But when we can bring our attention to the sensations that are happening with that story, we can see in that moment that that's not the real me at all. I'm not the one that this thought story of unworthiness is talking about. I'm simply awareness of this sensation now. This timeless presence being filled in this moment by this sensation. And it may be uncomfortable, but this is what's happening. And there's such a sense of holding and embracing and love when we meet ourselves in this way. Sometimes it can help even to hold this body and put our hands on our hearts or our belly to just really acknowledge, like, yeah, I'm here with you. I'm here with this human that has its stories, its conditioning, its wounds, its traumas. But who I really am is so much bigger. I am that big embrace that holds it all. And I hold this human, this woman, man, or whatever, just the way you are. Right now. Mm. Well, that brings us to the end of our time today. If you feel like putting a couple of words in the chat just to share how you're feeling now after this half an hour together, you're very welcome. Yeah, I see, Stefan, you said you were feeling tense before. I hope that you feel a little bit more at ease now, and if not, that's something to meet and to be held. And Lisa's written grateful. Annette, I feel the big embrace. Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And we can meet again next Wednesday. You're welcome to join me again. And if you want to submit a question, but you've already registered before, you can just email us with your question or theme. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Lots of love. See you next time. Bye.